Becoming an idol had been Mimica's dream since she was a little girl. She lived with her mother, who kept working hard after her father passed away. Mimica was grateful to still have a mother who never stopped fighting for her. But there were times when she felt lonelier than other kids her age. In those moments, she would watch idol performances that seemed to bring her back to life. When she imagined herself singing on stage, Mimica could forget all the painful things in her heart. Because she admired idols so much once she became a teenager, she decided to audition to become one herself. It was not easy competing with so many talented candidates, but in the end, Mimica was chosen along with 3 other girls. The 4 of them formed a girl group called Tetra. Their career started from the very bottom, and from that moment on, Mimica began living a hectic double life as a high school student and an idol. For the first time, her perfect smile couldn't protect her. This is idol disqualification. However, as the group started to gain popularity, the pressure on Mimica grew heavier day by day. Her teenage years were slowly being taken over by her work as an idol. She often came home late at night, continued studying after that, then had to wake up early for school the next morning. Her mother felt bad seeing her daughter so exhausted, but as a parent she tried to understand and did not want to stand in the way of her child's dream. While her classmates could go straight home and relax after school, Mimica's schedule was different. She had to head to practice with her fellow Tetra members. Besides Mimica, there was Mo, a girl who always wanted to be the best, Akari, the bright and cheerful one, and Saya, the leader with the most mature way of thinking. In front of the fans, Mimica always tried to stay professional, showing them her sweetest smile. At the start of her career, she did everything with a sincere heart. But over time, life as an idol made her feel guilty for hiding her true self. She could not forgive herself for not giving her all while pretending to be someone she was not. Because of that inner conflict, Mimica often struggled to focus during practice, even though she had been chosen as the group's center and was expected to keep raising Tetra to a higher level. One day, during a fan meet event, a male fan that Mimica had never noticed before suddenly said something that completely shocked her. He told her not to die. Mimica froze on the spot, unable to understand how this stranger could see the despair she had been hiding from everyone. That fan was a university student named Keita. He had never been good at socializing, so his classmates often took advantage of him. Keita simply went along with it and hid his true feelings behind a fake smile. Living like that had become a stressful routine that wore him down more and more each day. Then one day, his friend Negi invited him to a Tetra concert. It felt strange for Keita because it was his first time going to a concert. There, he noticed that each audience member held a light stick in the color of their favorite Oshi, the member they supported the most. In this world, an Oshi is the idol you choose to pour your support and affection into. Hearing Tetra perform live changed something in Keita. The energetic lyrics and hopeful tone touched him in a way he hadn't expected. Out of all the members, Mimica stood out the most. Her smile felt bright and genuine, and for the first time in a long while, the dark thoughts he carried began to fade. From that day on, Keita became a true fan of Tetra, especially of Mimica, who now felt like his source of light. Before this, Keita would spend his free time staring into space, disconnected from everything. Now, he filled those moments by rewatching Tetra videos, even while working part-time at a small aquarium shop. His boss, Takeshi, often had to snap him back to reality. Working there was simple, and beside him was Sakura, Takeshi's niece and Keita's childhood friend. As days passed and Tetra's songs played repeatedly in the shop, Keita's mood slowly improved. He seemed more lively than before. Yet, while watching the group perform, something about Mimica caught his attention. Her smile looked beautiful, but behind it he saw a familiar sadness. It reminded him of his own habit of hiding pain behind a cheerful expression. In her eyes, he recognized someone who might also be struggling. Eventually, during a handshake event, Keita decided to say what had been sitting in his heart. He told Mimica not to die. That single sentence left her stunned. She needed to know who this stranger was. Later, Mimica asked Mo, whose fan happened to be Keita's friend, about him. Once she found his social media account, she followed him using a private profile. Seeing posts of aquarium fish helped her figure out where he worked. The next day, curiosity led her to visit the shop, hiding behind a hat and mask to avoid being recognized. But Keita noticed her instantly. She confronted him about his words. Keita explained that he never meant to upset her. He just recognized the same disguised sadness he saw in himself. He could tell when a smile was real and when it was only on the surface. For the first time, Mimika felt seen by someone who understood the version of herself she kept hidden. The next day, during a TV appearance, she was asked about her new hobby. With a cheerful expression, she answered that she had recently gotten into keeping ornamental fish. The other members assumed she was just trying to sound unique, but Mimika truly had developed an interest, mostly because meeting Keita sparked her curiosity. Not long after, she returned to the aquarium shop again, surprising Keita for a second time. This time she wanted advice on which fish to buy for her room. As she browsed, one fish stood out to her. It looked as if it was glowing. Keita explained that the light wasn't from the fish itself, but from bacteria living on its body that produced a glowing effect. The fish was called a golden tetra. Mimika was shocked. She never expected her group's name came from a real glowing fish. Without hesitation, she chose it as her first pet. Since it was already late, Keita made sure Mimika got home safely, at least to the nearest intersection. The whole walk, he could barely calm his nerves. He kept wondering whether talking casually with an idol like this was even normal. At that time, he had no idea about the strict no romance policy that idols were expected to follow, especially when it came to interacting with fans. After that night, Keita found himself attending Tetra events more often, just to see Mimika up close. Unlike before, the nervousness was gone. Mimika also began treating him differently, almost as if he held a special place among the crowd. When she returned home after practice, she started finding packages waiting at her door. Fish tanks, supplies, tools, everything she needed to take care of her new pet. Keita even included a small note, reminding her that if there was anything she did not understand, she could always ask him. As time passed, she learned more about the golden tetrafish she brought home. Its shimmering body would slowly fade once kept in an aquarium, and its true colors would change. She could not help comparing the fish to herself. Just like it, she felt her glow disappearing in front of the world. The only place she felt real was when she was with Keita, where she no longer needed to perform or pretend.
だから、ミミカの笑顔は最強。
ありがとう。
One day, her homeroom teacher called her in. Her attendance was poor and many of her exam scores were failing. He understood how difficult it was to balance school and idol work, but being a student still came with responsibilities. He gave her a chance to catch up, telling her that she could not afford another failing grade in the upcoming exam. From then on, Mimika used every spare moment between rehearsals to study. Still, the material was overwhelming and she struggled to keep up. Eventually, she turned to Keita again, sharing her worry. Wanting to help, he spent his time at the library summarizing lessons and even recording study videos so she could understand them more easily. Meanwhile, her schedule became even busier. Mimika had been cast in a TV drama, playing the partner of a rising young actor named Ren. Although the role was challenging, Mimika wanted to give her best performance. Ren was impressed by her natural acting ability and suggested they rehearse lines together. But Mimika politely declined, saying she had to study for school. Ren was stunned. He was used to attention, not rejection. Then came the day of her exam. Mimika walked in holding on to Keita's advice, reminding herself to believe in what she had learned. Later, during a Valentine's concert, Keita watched with anxious anticipation, unsure if she had passed. When their eyes met, Mimika lifted her hand with a confident victory pose. She had succeeded. In that moment, Keita finally let out a breath he did not realize he had been holding. The next day, Mimika visited Keita at the aquarium shop again. This time, she wasn't there to ask questions or browse fish. She came to give him a handmade chocolate gift as a thank you for helping her study. It wasn't the same kind of chocolate she gave to fans. This one was personal. To her, Keita had taught more than school subjects. He helped her understand life, helped her see beyond the stage, and sparked a new curiosity about the world of fish that she now found beautiful and fascinating. Hearing her talk like that, Keita instinctively offered to take her to an aquarium where she could see many species up close. He didn't expect her to take the suggestion seriously, but Mimika did. She agreed immediately and told him she really wanted to go with him. At first, Keita thought she was joking. Only when she picked a date did he realize this was truly happening. Mimika kept the plans secret from her fellow Tetra members. Meanwhile, Sakura happened to discover the news by accident after noticing Keita's unusual behavior. When the day finally arrived, Keita showed up 3 hours early because he simply couldn't contain his excitement. Mimika followed shortly after, disguised behind a mask and sunglasses to avoid being recognized. To avoid attention, they walked separately with a little distance between them, while texting back and forth. Over time, Mimika started feeling uncomfortable hiding like that. She decided to remove her disguise so Keita could walk more comfortably with her, even if they still needed to keep some distance. It didn't take long before people recognized her. Fans began approaching for autographs. Mimika apologized to Keita, feeling guilty for making him wait. But Keita didn't mind at all, just spending time with her was enough. On their way home, Keita gave Mimika a small phone charm he bought at the aquarium. It matched the one he kept for himself. Mimika accepted it with a big smile. That simple moment turned into one of the happiest memories for both of them. For Mimika especially, it was a rare day where she could just be herself. But the joy didn't last long. The next day, Saya approached Mimika with a serious tone. She revealed that she knew Mimika had been secretly meeting a boy. She had noticed Mimika acting differently recently, and eventually saw her messaging someone about meeting at the aquarium. Suspicious, she followed her and confirmed it herself. Saya wasn't angry. As the leader of Tetra, she understood more than anyone what personal sacrifice meant. Before joining the group, she also had someone she cared about, but she had to end it because idols were not allowed to date. She explained gently that while everyone has the right to love, idols live under a different set of rules. Dating could hurt fans who dedicate their time, money, and emotion to their idol. Since Saya had been through it herself, she chose not to report it to the agency. Instead, she hoped Mimika would understand the consequences and make the right decision before things went too far. Saya's warning stayed in Mimika's mind. It made her heart heavy and left her unsure of what to do. She began drifting into her thoughts more often, and little by little, she stopped replying to Keita's messages. Keita noticed the change immediately, and the silence worried him more than he expected. Even without a response, he gathered his courage and attended another fan event. Mimika greeted him with the same polite smile she gave everyone else, but Keita could tell something was different. He tried to ask why her behavior suddenly changed, hoping for even a small explanation. Instead, Mimika avoided the question, leaving him without an answer. Keita walked away that day with disappointment weighing heavily on him. Reality was sinking in. The connection he thought they shared might have only existed in his heart. Maybe an idol and a fan really could never stand on equal ground. What Mimika didn't realize was that ignoring him hurt more than honesty ever would. She never meant to push him away. She wanted to talk to him like before, but with suspicions growing around her, she felt she had no choice but to distance herself. Days passed and Keita's emotional state continued to decline. But what troubled him most wasn't the silence. It was seeing Mimika's expression slowly return to the forced, empty smile she once carried. The same look she had before he ever told her not to give up. Meanwhile, Sakura noticed the sadness Keita was trying to hide. She could see he still had something he desperately wanted to tell Mimika. Because of that, she invited him to attend Tetra's fan appreciation event, pretending she simply wanted to watch the performance. Together they went. The ranking announcement for the members was revealed based on fan votes, and the results shocked everyone. Mimika, who had always held the top spot, had dropped to third place. Even with the disappointment written in her eyes, she still smiled for her fans. Mo was now ranked first, which meant she would become the center for the group's next song release. After the event, Keita planned to leave silently, but Sakura encouraged him to greet Mimika, reminding him that it might be his last chance. But when the moment came, his emotions overwhelmed him. There were too many things he wanted to say, yet no words came out. So he turned around and left. Soon after, social media turned harsh. People mocked Mimika for slipping in the rankings, calling her boring and accusing her of not working as hard as the others. Mimika tried to keep moving forward, doing her work as usual, even as the comments dug deeper and deeper into her confidence. When things became unbearable, Keita stepped forward. He responded to every hateful comment he could find, defending her name. To him, Mimika had always been careful with her words and actions. She never intended to hurt anyone, yet she was the one being wounded. Through this, Keita finally understood what it meant to love an idol properly. It wasn't about possession or closeness. It was about support, acceptance, and never adding to their burden. When Mimika saw the messages he wrote, she called him. She thanked him for protecting her, even after she treated him coldly. Keita understood. What mattered most to him was that she didn't lose herself again. Sakura overheard the call and reminded Keita not to fall in love with an idol. She told him idols exist to make fans feel special, and he was only getting trapped by a carefully crafted illusion. To her, falling for someone like that was wasted emotion. But Keita wasn't trying to own her or claim a place beside her. He only wanted the world to stop hurting her because to him, Mimika was never the person they described. The next day, Mimika woke to shocking news. A rumor was spreading inside the agency that she was secretly in a relationship with a fan. The public didn't know yet, but someone had sent a photo of her walking alone with Keita, and that was enough to raise alarms. She was called in to explain everything. After sitting with the situation, thinking through every consequence, Mimika made the hardest decision of her life. She announced that she would graduate from the group. Her teammates were stunned. Mo immediately asked why she had gotten involved with a fan in the first place. Mimika didn't hide anything. She shared the entire story starting from the moment she heard the strange sentence that stopped her heart. A stranger telling her not to die. Becoming an idol had been her dream since childhood, but now she finally realized something painful. The idol she admired growing up and the idol she had become were two completely different people. That difference had slowly crushed her. Hearing her speak so honestly, her teammates finally understood that Mimika had been suffering far more than she ever showed. They still hoped she might reconsider and stay, and even the agency was willing to let her continue if she agreed to follow the rules more carefully. But Mimika had already decided. She believed she no longer belonged in Tetra and did not want to hold the group back. News of her graduation eventually reached Keita. Negi told him first, and later Mimika confirmed it publicly during a TV broadcast. She explained that she wanted to explore a new path and challenge herself outside the idol world. Watching that announcement, Sakura froze. She was the one who had sent the photo to the agency. Her intention had only been to warn the staff, thinking it might protect Keita from getting hurt. She never imagined it would push Mimika out of the group and potentially end her entire entertainment career. Later, Mimika told her mother the truth. Her mother listened quietly, feeling both relief and sadness. She had always worried about her daughter living a life with no rest, no freedom, and no time to simply be a teenager. Yet despite all the stress, she was proud of the idol her daughter became. Meanwhile, Sakura went to Keita and finally confessed. She told him she was the one who sent the photo and regretted it deeply. She never expected the consequences to be this severe. But Keita did not blame her. In his mind, everything began with him. If he had never said that strange sentence, if he had never stepped closer to the boundary between fun and idol, maybe Mimika would still be shining on stage without any trouble. The next day at the aquarium shop, Keita returned to his usual routine. He didn't expect anything out of the ordinary, but then Mimika walked in. This time, she wasn't hiding behind sunglasses or a mask. She stood there openly, just as herself. She knew Keita had likely already heard about her upcoming graduation, but she still wanted to face him in person and say it directly. Keita listened quietly. In his heart, he already knew he had crossed a line. He let himself believe he was getting closer to someone who lived in a world much stricter than his. That mistake brought trouble not only to Mimika, but to the group she belonged to. He told himself that if Mimika had stayed an idol, he would have stepped back completely, never approaching her again. The last thing he wanted was for her to think he would follow her around or interfere with her life. He cared, but not in a way that would trap her. To him, he loved her only as an idol because she was the one who helped him find meaning and a reason to keep living. Mimika then shared her side. She knew she had made him worry and feel ignored, but she never once forgot him. To her, Keita was the one person who truly saw her, the person behind the perfect smile. Now that she was stepping away from the idol world, she wanted to live properly and independently. She didn't want to depend on him anymore or drag him into her struggles. Keita was relieved. Hearing how much stronger she sounded made him proud. In his heart, Mimika would always be unforgettable. His first idol and the last. Her eyes softened. His words touched her deeply. She wanted to leave as someone she could be proud of. For her final performance, she would shine one more time. Not as someone pretending to smile, but as someone finally ready to let go. They shared one last goodbye. No promises, no expectations. Just gratitude and a quiet acceptance of the bittersweet ending between them. Days later, her graduation concert finally arrived. Mimika stood on stage and thanked everyone who helped her along the way. The members beside her tried to hold their emotions back. Mo especially struggled. To her, Tetra without Mimika didn't feel complete. She would have welcomed Mimika back in an instant, even placing her in the center again if she asked. But Mimika stayed firm. Leaving was what she believed was best for the group and for herself. She had grown because of Mo, Saya, and Akari. Now she trusted they would keep going farther than ever. To the fans, she shared her next dream. She was ready to step into the world outside the idol stage and face a new chapter. In the audience, Keita watched silently. He didn't look away for even a second. He knew this might be the last time he would ever see her on stage. And in his memories, her smile that night was the brightest it had ever been. A smile that no stage lights could ever replace. A smile he would remember for the rest of his life. So the moral of the story is sometimes the people who save us are the ones we're not allowed to keep. And loving someone doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means letting go and remembering them quietly for the rest of your life.